I scaled 4 B2B lead generation campaigns to prove that it's not luck, that you can do this in any industry and you can use B2B lead generation campaigns in any industry. And when I talk about B2B lead generation campaigns, I'm talking about email marketing campaigns, using email to get leads for your business. The 4 industries I did it in were aerospace, capital raising, commercial real estate, and SaaS. Meaning I got meetings with aerospace executives, investors for funding, developers who needed financing, and potential clients for a brand new SaaS product. I'm going to go through each of them to show you that it's not luck. There is a system that you can follow for your own campaigns, for your own business. And I'll show you exactly how you can do it with a repeatable system that you can use so you can do the same. The very first one I did was the aerospace campaign. This was actually my very first offer. I wanted to offer the ability to get better component costs for aerospace manufacturers. So I went and I created a campaign to aerospace executives. This was pretty simple. I went and I took every person that was in the C-suite at aerospace companies. I filtered by region, basically the US, Canada, Australia, and most of Europe. And obviously I set up multiple domains, multiple mailboxes, put them into a sequencer. Pretty much every single campaign that I do, I did that exact same thing. So just pretend like for every single one of them, that's what I do. I went to Apollo as my database. I applied all of those filters. I think I did probably like 500 or 1,000 people or up. And I went ahead and I booked meetings with people from BAE Systems, which is one of the largest aerospace manufacturers in the world. I ended up getting a contract with one aerospace component manufacturer for a 15% rev share. And the messaging was really simple. I basically offered them scale. I said, hey, we can get you way more aerospace deals, or we can get you way more savings on aerospace costs. Let's get on a call. The cost can be in the millions. If you're an aerospace manufacturer, you're buying everything in bulk, your component costs are already really, really expensive. So I think for most of them, it was kind of a no-brainer just to see what's going on. Had a ton of meetings. Some were good. Some people were just not in the right place to meet. Some people weren't interested at all. But at the end of the day, did nail a contract. And so that was a win. The problem with aerospace is that there is a ton that goes into getting an aerospace deal over the line. So I started to move into the capital markets and I worked on a commercial real estate client. They wanted some help getting their offer, which was private lending for developers, out to more people in the market. At the time, all they were doing was cold calling, a text here or there. Most of their business was word of mouth. They sent emails, but they weren't the right emails for getting people interested. They just looked like sales emails. So I said, look, I'll build the sending infrastructure. I'll make sure everything's spam compliant, all the technical setup. I bought all the domains, mailboxes, etc. Set it up, put it into the sequencer, and then we got to the business of where do we get the leads from? They had their own database, and their database wasn't as easy as just export a bunch of names and emails. In fact, I had to workshop a lot of the data. So they gave me all of their leads in PDF formats and a bunch of varied formats. It came in like 11 or 12 different documents. I had to sift them together, try to figure out the right campaign, what we wanted it to say, what data to scrape. I went and built an agent to do the whole thing. Once we built that agent and I got the leads in a format I could use, I went ahead and I uploaded it into the sequencer. At that point, the copy was really, really basic. I said something along the lines of, hey, we help developers get financing. We just secured this financing. They had a bunch of case studies, so I just used their most impressive one. Are you interested in meeting? Within the first 3 weeks, we booked in $60 million worth of capital demand. The reason I call it capital demand is because these are developers who have a demand for capital. They have a demand for financing from the commercial real estate client. It's a private lender. Also, I want to be very clear. This is $60 million that the lender actually bid on. A lot of times these lenders will take calls and scope deals, but a lot of the deals aren't very good. These are $60 million worth of deals that they actually went through and bid on and were prepared to finance. After that, I knew that the capital markets were a win, and I helped another client with a capital raise in the Web3 space. They ended up making an exit, but before they made the exit, first of all the same business, went ahead and set up the mailboxes, bought all the domains, set up the technical infrastructure, the DNS settings, etc. All of that set up, put it into the email sequencer. And the database this time was Crunchbase, where they wanted to get investors who fit a certain profile. They were interested in Web3 raises. They had done anything from blockchain or Bitcoin or crypto, and they wanted to find people that were on the smaller side or were more interested in early stage startups. So anything from pre-seed, seed, Series A, and I think Series B. Half the game here is knowing what database to go after for what campaigns. For example, if you're going after e-commerce, then Store Leads is a really popular database. If you're going after investors, Crunchbase is the perfect perfect one. If you're going after commercial real estate, there's a bunch of niche databases that you should go after, like CoStar or whatever. Before they ended up making an exit with someone, I think we booked in somewhere around 45 investor meetings in 60 or so days. The campaign obviously did well as far as getting them in front of the right investors, so kudos to them. They made an exit. All's well that ends well, but that was the capital raise campaign. The messaging copy on that was very simple. Basically, you have to put yourself in the shoes of what an investor cares about. With all of these campaigns, you need to put yourself in the shoes of what the ideal client you're going after cares about. So in the case of commercial real estate, they want to know what kind of deal you can get them, which is why we said, hey, we do financing. This is an example of financing we got. For an investor, they're interested in what promise does your company have? What are the results your business have? So we said something along the lines of, hey, we are company name, we do blank. In the last 90 days, we did blank, blank, blank. Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 bullet points, really, really short, and it's all metrics based. We had this much churn or this much growth or have this many users, that kind of stuff. We are looking for X dollars in fundraising, interested in a chat. Really, really simple, really basic, just saying, hey, here's the business. Do you want to talk about it? We're looking for funding. If the metrics are interesting and they're good enough, then you get it to enough investors, someone's going to bite. If they aren't good enough, then you got a more difficult problem. We have to keep massaging that story, but we were able to do both. And then lastly was the startup. This was a SaaS product. I'm not sure that I'm allowed to talk about exactly what the product does, but basically they needed to send a campaign on 9 days notice, and they needed to go out to a really small targeted list of people that were attending a conference. Half of the campaign was just seeing would people pay for this brand new product or service. And all they had was a list of basically names and LinkedIn profiles. And they said, can we go and send an email campaign to these people? So they came to me. They were referred by a friend, and I went to work for them. I was able to use Clay to enrich their list of conference attendees. And from that list, I was able to take the names and the LinkedIns and then get it all the way to doing some matching for their domain, and then eventually getting their email and enriching it to make sure that email is correct. I took that final list of emails and I wrote a campaign that was highly targeted to people going to that conference. And the results were really, really good. In under 7 days of the campaign launch, we got 8 opportunities. One of them closed, so they actually made money coming out of that, with another 7 meetings already on the docket. And I remember we even got an email from someone that said, I so appreciate that you took the time to write this email. I am so sick of people that write cold emails because they are just so impersonal or something. Little did they know. So if people tell you that cold emails have to sound generic or it's dead, you need a better copywriter. That was honestly probably one of the more difficult campaigns that I had to run because I had to get crafty about where I got my domains from. Most of the time, if you've done any cold email campaigns, you want to do them properly. You're going to need to set up, like, if you're trying to get to tens of thousands of emails per month, you need to set up a couple hundred mailboxes, and you're going to need to give them at least 2 weeks just to warm up and get used to sending. We had no time for that, so I had to get my mailboxes from somewhere else. I had to get everything kind of set up and masked properly. And eventually we were able to kick off and get it all set up in like 48 hours. So it was a win for them, win for me, and I got a cool testimonial out of it. So what did all these campaigns have in common with each other that made them work? Number one is the infrastructure. Everybody had basically the same infrastructure, which is what's so beautiful at cold email. You don't need something new every time. You need to have the same infrastructure built to send at volume. Domains, technical setup, stuff that's going to land you in the mailbox. Deliverability is what's most important. Warming up all the mailboxes, all of that stuff. I take care of all of that so they don't have to worry about it. The second thing is list building. Where do you get your leads from, right? I got some from Apollo. I got some from Crunchbase. I got some from a database that you're not even supposed to scrape from, but then I created some tool that allowed me to go and generate a bunch of leads from it. You have to get crafty with where you're getting your leads from. The thing is, there's always going to be databases of people with all these leads that you want to get after. It's your job to go and identify those databases, and then it's my job to go and find a way to scrape them all. And then lastly, what I don't think a lot of people talk about is the copywriting. Your copy cannot be, hey, sorry for reaching out. I know that, pardon the cold email, but I just thought it might be interesting. It's all, nobody gives a fuck. You're already in their mailbox. Get to the point. What is your offer? What problem are you solving? Have you done it before? What will you do for them? What do you want? What are you going to give them? What do you want? Start with the problem, introduce what you do, and then talk about how you've solved it already, and then close out with a call to action. Hey, we do X for business. We just delivered Y for Z business. Would you be interested in doing the same? Really, really basic. If your offer solves a pain or it's good enough, it should do the selling. I always tell this to people that want to do capital raises. They say, oh, well, how do I know that the email campaigns are going to work? Well, I guarantee that you're going to get in front of 1 to 10 or more thousand investors. If today you could put your project in front of 10,000 investors, would you raise the money you needed? If the answer is yes, then you probably have a pretty good product. If the answer is, oh, I don't know, it's a completely different problem. It's not going to matter. It could be you calling them yourself, or it could be me doing it over email. The point is that you need to get your offer in a place where it is so undeniably marketable that it will work no matter what. That said, there's always more that we can do with the copy and getting people on the phone. Leave that to me. And so if you are interested in running a similar campaign for your business, we can absolutely do it. Let's get on a call and just understand what your business is and whether or not this is the right way to market it. I have a link in my description of this video. You can book a call with me and we'll find the way, and we'll see if there's a world where we work together, or maybe I can just give you some tips. Feel free to book a call and see where it goes from there.